Anatomy drawing is not for beginners. I know, you might be thinking, what am I talking about? So, when I say anatomy, I specifically means the bones and the muscles. And there are a total of 206 bones and 600 muscles in the human body. And it's not like their shapes are simple either. Like, look at this pelvis here. Do you see how complex this shape is? Anatomy is literally the hardest thing you will learn in art.
But isn't anatomy drawing supposed to be one of the fundamentals of art?
Yes, it is one of the fundamentals of figure drawing.
So, aren't beginners supposed to practice the fundamentals first?
Well, yes and no.
What does that even mean?
Let me explain. So, just because something is called fundamental doesn't necessarily mean it is meant for the beginners. Anatomy is one of the skills that even a lot of professional artists struggle with. Honestly, you don't even need to learn anatomy to become a better artist. You will not need it for most things you draw. But if you wish to draw muscular men someday, or become a complete artist, you should learn anatomy. What you need to understand is that there are steps to learning anything, and anatomy drawing is on the top step of learning to draw. If you want to skip steps and tackle the top first, go ahead. Nobody's going to stop you. But it's like fighting a level 100 boss while you are at level 1. You will fail, you will get frustrated, and you will give up. So, what should you do? Well, we start with level 1, which in art is learning to draw the shapes.
Hell no.
Drawing the shapes is the most basic it can get. It is only going to get harder from here.
Okay, but how can drawing circles and squares and boxes help me with drawing anything? Like, what can it possibly teach me?
Everything.
As basic and boring drawing shapes is, they are also very important. So there are 2D shapes and then there are 3D shapes, and together they form the building block of drawing. Without learning to draw these shapes, you are really not going anywhere. Like, if you can't even draw a simple box, how do you expect to draw a human, which is way more complex? One of the most important skills you can learn as an artist is to simplify the complex form of an object into a simpler one. And you cannot do that unless you have a good understanding of simple shapes. So here's a human. Now, how do you simplify this human? Well, I can draw 3 boxes for the head and the body. Then I will draw a few cylinders for the limbs, and then I will attach the hands and the feet. Now, looking at both of these, which one looks easier to draw? That's right, this one. The simpler the form, the easier it is to draw. And after learning to draw the shapes, this is the next thing that you need to learn. You take simple shapes like boxes and cylinders, you combine them together, and you form something completely different. And if you get good at this, you can literally draw anything you want. Our brains are not very good at memorizing complex shapes, like people. You might see someone today and forget what they look like the day after. But if you saw a few boxes stacked on top of each other, you won't forget it that easily. Another thing that it can help you tackle is perspective. Drawing people in perspective can be really challenging, but boxes, not so much. For example, the pose that I am drawing right now is a difficult one, but it becomes much easier if I use simpler shapes. Now, you should know that all these fundamentals are meant to increase your drawing skills and expand your mental library. They are meant to help you. If you don't enjoy practicing these fundamentals, you don't have to do this. Art shouldn't be like a chore. You should draw the things that you truly enjoy drawing. But I would still suggest that you do practice these fundamentals, even if for a few minutes a week. Now, using these rigid shapes to draw something like a human can make your drawings to also look rigid, as if they are frozen in place. And that's where comes gesture drawing. Gesture drawing is basically a quick sketch done in 2 minutes or less, and the purpose is to show the gesture and flow of the subject. At first, gesture drawing might sound simple because, a simple sketch in 2 minutes using few lines. How difficult could that be? Well, there was a time when I used to think the same, and then I tried it myself, and I realized that nope, it's not easy at all. That day, I realized how fast 2 minutes actually is. And the biggest mistake that I was making was that I wasn't really drawing the gesture. Instead, I was drawing the contour. Contour is the outline of the body, while gesture is the flow. It took me some time to understand this, but the moment I did, I got faster and better. Now, the drawings that you see right now are not my best. I haven't really done gesture drawing in a while now, and I normally do gesture drawings on paper with a pencil, and I really recommend that you do all these exercises on paper with a pencil or pen. Now, you are almost ready to learn anatomy, but there's just one more step left before that, and that is getting better at drawing the human body. And it is as simple as it sounds. All you have to do is find some figure drawing references and draw them. Being able to copy a reference is one of the most important skills in art. Almost everything you learn in art is by copying. The purpose of this exercise is to understand what the human body actually looks like. Before we start looking at what's under the skin, we first need to look at it from the outside. And before we start learning about the individual muscles, we need to first learn what they look like in bundles, because that's what you would normally see. Like the thighs got a lot of muscles, but you won't really see all of those muscles unless the person is really ripped. Another thing you should learn is cross contour lines. Cross contour lines are basically lines that run perpendicular to contour lines and are generally used to show form. They are really helpful in showing form and perspective of the object, but they are also very easy to mess up, so be careful. Okay, so now you can draw the shapes, you know how to use the shapes, you also know how to do gesture drawing, and you also know what a human body looks like. Well, congrats! You are already a better artist than most. And at this point, even if you don't want to learn anatomy drawing, it's completely okay. Depending on your art style, you might never actually need to learn anatomy, but you still should, because it does make a difference. And the difference between good artists and great artists is that great artists keep learning. Now, if you truly wish to learn anatomy drawing, I would recommend you Proko's channel, because that is also where I learned from. That channel has got everything you would ever need. I can't really teach you anatomy because, well, like I said, I am also still learning. Okay, so that's it. See you in the next one. Goodbye.